are listening to the most comprehensive paranormal archive on the internet.
Welcome to Salsido Paranormal. I'm your host, James Salsido, and tonight I'm continuing the series, Haunted Places in the U.S. As always, you can find everything associated with the podcast at the website, and that is salsidoparanormal.com. That's SALSIDO paranormal.com. And that includes links to all the episodes of the show, social media, ways to listen, and ways to support the show, and friends of the show, including Jen, the Arcane Observer, who has her own channel and is the co-host of the show on Saturdays when she can make it. So we are in the middle of this whole thing, this whole series here. We are going through a few locations here left to go in North Carolina. And the way I do this is I have I get a list of places in each state and do some research on them and see if there's enough to share a couple of articles or links about each location in the episode description, which I include, and also get a summary of each location generated and read that, and then let you all do your own research. Because even if these are places that you're interested in, they may not always be open to the public, and things can change. They can be bought and sold and all those things. So just as always, please, if you're interested in these places and want to check one of them out, please do your own research and make sure it's okay to do that and find out when and how and all those things, because I do not recommend trespassing for any reason. And also, I apologize in advance for any mispronunciations of names of people or places, and just words in general, because words are hard. I think that takes care of everything. And let me get to the file here, and we'll get started. I was running a little late tonight, but made it in time. Technical issues are fun. So much. So, like I said, we're in North Carolina here. This next location is known as Helen's Bridge in Asheville. It's a real stone bridge built in 1909 to provide access to the Zealandia Mansion, and the haunting story attached to it centers on a woman named Helen, who, according to local legend, lost her daughter in a fire and later died as well at the bridge. The ghost story says Helen still appears there, especially at night, sometimes asking about her daughter, or haunting the roadway where cars are said to stall or refuse to start. That's always fascinating, because you get that, as I always say, with just anomalous phenomena in general, whether it's orbs sighted in areas or UFO sightings or even creature or cryptid sightings, or ghosts or apparitions or whatever they may be. Basically just odd energy fields in places. So the history here. The bridge is also known as Zealandia Bridge, and that's Zealandia Bridge. And it was originally part of the route up Bowcatcher Mountain to the Zealandia estate. Asheville's official ghost story piece notes that the bridge is made of quarried stone and sits at on this one road. Accounts of the estate vary in the legend, but the bridge's documented history is straightforward. It was a functional access road bridge before becoming a paranormal landmark. Makes sense. Let's see. The legend. The best-known version says Helen lived at or near Zealandia with her daughter, and after a fatal fire, for her daughter, she died at the bridge. Some retellings say she can be summoned by calling her name 3 times, though many versions emphasize that the ghost may not appear even when people try. Well, that makes sense because normally these things don't respond on or act on command. Other reported phenomena include a man in. I'm sorry, skip ahead there. A woman in distress, shadowy figures, screams, strange handprints, and electrical or mechanical trouble. Helen's Bridge has become one of Asheville's best-known haunted locations because the setting is dramatic, the story is tragic, and the bridge is easy to locate. Easy for visitors. Wow, easy for locals. There we go. I was thinking locate, but it was locals. For locals and visitors to associate with a specific legend. Even where details shift, the core detail remains the same. A mountain bridge, a family tragedy, and a lingering spirit tied to grief. If you're researching it as a haunt, the bridge's reputation is as much about folklore and local storytelling as it is about any verified historical incident. That makes it a strong example of how Asheville's historic places and ghost lore overlap. And this is always one of those things that is fascinating to me because this is all based on a legend. And yet there's reports, as there are in most places with legends, it seems, of activity in these places. So is it thought forms? Is it people hearing this legend and going there and with it in mind and just who knows how many people doing that over how many years and it's causing that? Or was there already some anomalous activity there and that the story just got attached to it? Or both? It's always hard to say. The next one here is many of you may have heard of before. This is the Brown Mountain Lights. So Brown Mountain in western North Carolina is famous for the Brown Mountain Lights, a long-running ghost light legend tied to the Linville, George, and the Burke-Caldwell County area. The site's lore blends native traditions, settler stories, and modern paranormal tourism, while the best documented reports cluster in the early 20th century. Okay, well, those are documented reports. If there's oral legend, if there's storytelling from centuries ago. Anyway, that always kind of annoys me, but that's just me. The place itself. Brown Mountain is a low ridge in the Blue Ridge Pigska region. I'm probably saying that wrong, I apologize. Near Morganton, with some of the best-known viewing points along NC Highway 181 and from Wiseman's View, or the Lost Cove Overlook. The mountain is not famous for a haunted building or a single tragic event. Its reputation comes from repeated reports of unexplained lights seen in the valley and on the slopes. The legend. The lights are usually described as glowing orbs that rise, hover, wobble, and then vanish. Folklore versions vary. Some say Cherokee traditions linked them to grieving women searching for warriors after a battle, while other retellings describe a man's lost companion or a torch-bearing search that continued beyond death. These stories help turn a natural phenomenon, okay, that's one possibility, into a ghost story with deep roots in regional folklore. Historical reports. Published references to the lights appear in the 1800s with a website, I guess, or maybe it's a magazine, and North Carolina, so NCpedia, so North Carolina, like their encyclopedia type thing, I guess, noting documentation from 1833, while other accounts point to sightings as early as 1771 in local lore. Interest surged in the early 1900s, and the mystery became widely known enough to attract government attention. A 1922, U.S. Geological Survey investigation concluded that many sightings were likely trains, car headlights, or brush fires viewed from a distance. I've heard this used to describe many lights in places before, but it always fascinates me because a lot of times in these places you hear that these things happened before car headlights, or trains were around. Anyway, even though the phenomena has plausible natural and human-made explanations, the lights never fully lost their eerie reputation. That ambiguity is what keeps Brown Mountain in paranormal circles. It is a real, repeatedly observed mystery that has been folded into ghost lore, UFO speculation, and old mountain storytelling. In other words, it is more of a haunted landscape than a traditional ghost site. Visiting today. The Brown Mountain Lights remain a draw for hikers, folklore fans, and ghost hunters, especially on clear nights in warm weather. So that's fascinating whenever you have these lights. And these are not the only ones. I've heard of other ones as well. I'm blanking on where I've heard of them. But if you look up just ghost lights or that kind of thing, I'm sure you'll find some other examples of that across the country here. Now, this next one, I think I did something on this. I feel like this came up in a previous show. I'm just blanking on which one it came up in. But this is a fascinating thing. Maybe it came up on another show. But I'm blanking, like I said now. But next location is the Great Dismal Swamp. This is in northeastern North Carolina. It is a place where real history and ghost lore overlap. It was home to native peoples for thousands of years. Later became a refuge for self-emancipated, enslaved people and maroon communities. I'm guessing they mean shipwrecked. I'm not sure. And was heavily targeted for drainage, logging, and canal building by settlers and investors like George Washington and George Washington, okay. And the Great Dismal Swamp Company. Oh, so there's a company named after it. That's lovely. Its haunting reputation comes from long-running reports of strange lights, phantom figures, voices, and eerie disappearances in the woods and on the water. And this is something that makes sense to me when I first heard about it, as far as the type of location it is. And I think the first time I heard of this idea, and I could be wrong, was through a friend of the show, Derek, Nice Stalker. That's grocery store stalker. He mentioned that these places where the edges of land and or water, or that these two mix in certain places, that could be common places for anomalous events to happen. And it does seem like that seems like it is the case in a lot of places. Let's see here. So, yeah, phantom figures, voices, and eerie disappearances in the woods and on the water. Okay. Historical background. The swamp once covered a far larger area than it does now, and was described by early colonists as harsh, inaccessible, and dismal, though people had already lived there for millennia. Native communities used the swamp as a homeland and trading zone, and after European expansion, it became a hiding place for people escaping slavery and colonial control. That hidden settlement history is a big reason the swamp remains important in African American and indigenous history, not just folklore. The swamp's haunting stories fit the setting: deep woods, difficult navigation, dangerous wildlife, old waterways, and a long memory of hardship. Local accounts describe floating lights, people hearing noises at night, and ghostly figures in period clothing, including colonial era and early lumber era apparitions. Okay. Some stories also link the swamp to vanished game, as far as animals and things. Mysterious canoes and spirits tied to tragic deaths or lost travelers. Famous ghost lore. One well-known legend tells of the lady, oh, that's quotation marks here, Lady of the Dismal Swamp, in quotation marks. A ballad-like ghost story about a woman in a white canoe carrying a light through the swamp at night. Another recurring theme is that the swamp is a place where spirits of those who died there, or those who hid there in life, still linger among the canals and forests. These stories are part of a broader tradition of making the swamp into a haunted borderland between safety and danger. What makes the Great Dismal Swamp especially compelling is that its ghost stories are rooted in genuine historical trauma and survival, not just invented scares. Okay. The same landscape that inspired fear also sheltered people seeking freedom, which gives the hauntings a somber tone rather than a purely sensational one. In that sense, the swamp is haunted both by folklore and by history itself. And so that's where that one ends there. It's a lot of activity. It's not like you can maybe write off lights. Again, I do know I've heard that certain conditions can create lights on their own, but you have apparitions and voices and things like that happening too. That's a lot going on. So it's not a place I'd like to visit, I don't think, in person, but it's a fascinating, just the location, it sounds like, as far as the history and the reported activity after. Let's see here. So, I'm just looking here. Looks like, okay, so a couple more places here at least in North Carolina. This next location, we'll get to at least one more, is the Old Armory. This is the Old Armory in Williston, North Carolina. Oh, wait, hang on a second here. I think I might have skipped something. Hang on. So, let's see. Was I on North Dakota? No, it says North Carolina. Okay, hang on. I'll find out what's going on here. I might be on North Dakota now. I might just not have put on the put a title in the file here that says, yeah, so North Dakota. All right, so I'm on North Dakota. I apologize for that. Didn't put a title in there like I wanted to. So we're on North Dakota now. So the Old Armory in Williston, North Dakota, was built in 1915 to 1916 as a National Guard armory for Company E of the 1st North Dakota Infantry. and it quickly became much more than a military building. It also served as a community hub for dances, rallies, theater, commencements, recreation, and later as a preserved historical venue. History. The armory was planned after local guard members had been training in makeshift places like vacant lots and streets. Community fundraising, a state loan, and local support made construction possible, and the building was dedicated in April of 1916. It was designed by Robert Stacy Judd and is recognized for both its architecture and its role in bringing together military, civic, and private groups in Williston. Over the years, the building hosted a wide range of public uses: theater performances, political rallies, high school commencements, dances, indoor auto shows, and even a teen canteen during World War II. After a newer armory was built in 1957, the old building continued as a recreation center until 1983, when preservation efforts saved it from demolition. Haunting claims. The haunting lore around the old armory is mostly centered on military echoes and unexplained sounds. Reported activity includes mannequins moving on their own, ghostly whispering, a spectral bugler heard playing taps, sudden cold breezes in the gymnasium, and a faint smell of gunpowder. Those stories fit the building's long history of drills, training, and military service, which is why it tends to show up on North Dakota haunted places lists. The claims are anecdotal rather than formally documented. That's fine. But they are part of the armory's modern reputation as both a historical landmark and a haunted site. What makes the old armory interesting is that its reputation as a haunted place is tied to a very real community past. It is not just an old building with ghost stories. It is a place where military service, local theater, civic life, and preservation all overlap. Its current use as a performing arts and event venue also adds to the atmosphere, since historic spaces with long public histories often accumulate legends over time. So that's basically going to do it, because as far as the claims go, there is reports of whispering, moving mannequins, basically the things I already mentioned. And yeah, so that's going to do it for this episode. We will continue on with North Dakota next time and get into more locations. We actually have another fort here coming up, so another military location. And I wonder if a lot of that stuff that they talked about for the old armory is residual in nature. It seems like it might be. But thank you all for listening, and I will talk to you all next time on Salsido Paranormal. Take care.